I am sorry for only two things. These two things are, I am sorry that I've mistreated some few animals in my lifetime. I am sorry that I am unable to murder the whole damned human race. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Crimes, Killers, Cults,
and Beer.
And beer. Just two crazy Florida men drinking beer, talking about true crime.
Yes, indeed.
Because that's just what we are. And it wouldn't be the same thing if it was two polite Canadians. Just kidding. We love our Canadian podcast brothers and sisters.
Yes, we do.
Speaking of which, here's a trailer for our friends Buried Motives.
Right on.
Right out of the gate.
Hey listeners, I'm Christy.
And I'm Melissa, and this is Buried Motives, where we dig deep into the details of some of the most gruesome
dirtbag murderers. She said she enjoyed hurting things that can't fight back.
Like if you were only to look at what she did later on and not know any of that history, she would appear like off the wall crazy.
Oh, 100%. She struck him on the back of his head with a frying pan, almost killing him, and was hospitalized for a severely fractured skull.
She fractured his skull. Wow. So the movie Tangled was right. Frying pans are dangerous.
They are. He feels like he is totally justified in the murder that he commits.
Even after he's convicted, he feels justified.
Oh yeah, to this day.
That's a confident dirtbag right there.
That's right. He believes that his victim had it coming.
Join us each Thursday as we unearth the dirtbags that live among us.
And the motives buried there. Hope you join us as we exhume the truth.
And we're back. So, that's Todd.
And that's Bill.
And we're off to a great start.
Yes.
I think we can pull it together, though. This has been minor.
I hope so.
So, what are you drinking?
I'm going to freak everybody out because old Powder Blue got the night off. I'm drinking PBR.
Oh, my God. PB? That's Powder Blue? PB?
Yeah, I guess it could be. Why not? I mean, it's Pabst Blue, but Powder Blue works.
PB?
Yeah.
Oh. Holy crap! He's drinking PBR.
Yeah, I'm drinking beer after what? How many times of not drinking beer on a podcast that's called beer?
I'm drinking Jack and Coke in a neon green sippy cup.
No, you're not.
No, I'm drinking Bud Light.
Yeah, we know. And I can see you, so I know you're not.
So, just a couple things I want to talk about before we get started here with part 3, the conclusion of Panzram.
Yeah.
For one, in case you're wondering why there are 2 episodes, part 1 and part 2, that dropped last night, it's because I changed the title for part 1. And when I did it, it republished the episode. So it looks like I dropped 2 episodes when I did, but that's why. Yeah, that's why it's there. And I even put a note in the description saying, yeah, this is the same episode that came out on the I guess the 20th or whatever date that it was that published part 1. But still, it's not a new part. It's the same episode.
Same thing. Don't watch it again.
Yeah, part 2. There's no issue with part 2. and then part 3 is I released part 2 on the Thursday yesterday for us because we normally do it on Friday, but we're recording this monster of an episode tonight, so I just wanted to make sure that it got out there. I didn't.
Right.
So I just went ahead and did it last night. But part 3, if you're hearing it, you're hearing it on, if you're hearing it when it comes out, it's on our normal night, Friday night. So, got a little update on one of our cases.
Oh, cool.
Well, not one of our cases, but one of the cases that we've covered.
Right on.
Gypsy Rose Blanchard. You remember her?
Yeah.
It's the one where her mother had a very serious case of Munchausen by proxy.
Mm-hmm.
Kept her basically imprisoned and everything, just had all sorts of surgeries and stuff like that because, unnecessary stuff. Had her, they had a whole pharmacy's worth of medication in the house and all that stuff. And finally, she's like 23, 21, 22, something like that. And she basically, her mom's still treating her like a teenager, telling her that she is still a teenager and still a minor. And so finally she's had enough, and she meets a guy online. The guy comes and kills her mother. And she's, he was sentenced to life for the actual murder, and she got like 10 years, and she's being let out 1.5 years early. So we are happy about that because she should have never done a day in prison other than time served. Because Dee Dee Blanchard would have killed Gypsy at some point.
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm happy that she got out, and she even met somebody on Prison Tender.
Oh, good old Prison Tender.
Yep. So hit the round of applause for Gypsy Rose. Hell yeah. Gypsy.
Oh, that's awesome news.
Yeah, it is. So I wish he would have been paroled sooner, but
Yep.
Better late than never, or better, better than she's. And the tragic thing about that was she said that she felt more free in prison than she did at home with her mother. I think my favorite part of that whole story before, up until now when she got paroled was the fact that her family took her ashes and flushed them down the toilet.
That's fitting.
Very, because that was horrible what she did to that girl.
Yes, it was.
So, without any further ado, we're just going to dive into it because we got a long way to go. This is going to be probably the longest one out of the series.
Yeah.
Part 1 was like 1 hour and 45 minutes. Part 2 was 2 hours and 15 minutes. And it remains to be seen how long Part 3 will be.
But, our regular listeners know. I mean, they're gonna, it might be like 2.5 hours when you edit it, but they know that we sat here for 4 hours bullshitting on each other and going on big ass tangents.
Well, we both have to be up super freaking early in the morning. So,
yeah, I know.
So let's just get through it. We probably should have done this tomorrow night instead. You want to do that? No, we're here. No, we're here.
Ain't gonna hurt my feelings none.
We're here. We're doing it. And that'll give me time to, I don't know, maybe write a song tomorrow night, or maybe go out and do some karaoke or something.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
So. How about you do that tonight?
Because I have to be up super freaking early tomorrow.
So do I. Don't stop me.
You don't have to drive 3.5 hours in a freaking 50,000-pound torpedo.
That's true, but I have to stand on my feet for 8 hours, cook food for ungrateful. Never mind, I won't go there.
Anyway,
we
left off basically saying that President Taft's gun got a lot of use because he went on his next crime spree and whatnot.
Yep.
I probably should have put a recap in my notes. Because I even listened to the episode today. I always listen to them after they're published just to make sure.
Right.
Because there's been times when I've had to yank them back down because of something that got past me in the edits. But so that's why I do that. And I still don't remember where the hell we were. I'm like drawing a complete freaking blank.
I remember the gun. I don't remember if that was the end or not, but I remember the gun.
Yeah, it was. I ended it when I said the President Taft's gun got a lot of use.
Oh, that's right. You left us on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, and he had just he had just crashed. No. Yeah, he had just crashed the boat that he had bought legally, and the two people that he had that he was planning on raping and murdering, and everything. They had just gotten the hell out of Dodge because for whatever reason, and they're like, so that knowingly or unknowingly saved their life.
Yep. So they saw it coming, so they bounced.
Yeah. So.
Well, maybe.
So so we're going to pick up from right there. Carl continued raping and robbing and killing. Hadn't killed very many people at this point, and the high that he got from robbing and brutalizing and raping wasn't doing it for him anymore. He now wanted to kill whenever possible. So I went in to the recruiter and I said, he said, "Why do you want to join the Marines?" And I said, "Because I want to kill. I want to kill. I want to kill.
I'm gonna kill everybody."
And from what I hear, you can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant.
Yes, they say that.
So, but so he also wanted another big score like he had with Taft. So he went back to New Haven and he robbed a couple mini mansions. And after that, he had his sights set on a large mansion where things didn't go as planned. The family was home and awake when he broke in. He subdued the family, but one of the servants managed to sneak away and call the police.
Uh-oh.
And the police responded quickly, and Carl was arrested, and he was charged with burglary and possession of an unlicensed firearm, although this wasn't Taft's pistol.
No.
Probably a good thing that he didn't have Taft's pistol because
it would have not ended well for him.
It would have ended right then and there.
Yes, that's what I meant. He wouldn't. Whatever.
He avoided a lengthy sentence because he gave yet another alias. And as far as they were concerned, this was his first offense, and he got 6 months. And while in jail, there was lots of raping, but it was Carl doing the raping. And
lots of rape. You put rape twice. I like rape.
But the guards looked away the same as they had when he was the victim.
Yeah. Well, that sucks.
But Carl learned something, though, this time. Self-discipline.
Okay.
Kinda. And when he came out, he was a cold and calculating killer who thought things through.
Okay.
So Carl wanted to go back on the ocean, so he joined the flying squadron of the Seamen's Union, and I didn't know boats could fly, but whatever.
Yeah, they're seaplanes, man.
Well, that's not a boat. That's a plane with floaties with water wings on it.
Not necessarily. The big ones, the bottoms look like boats.
Canoes.
What's making that? Is that my head? I don't know. Who cares?
We hear something rattling?
Yeah. Actually, I see shit moving behind me, and I don't know what it is. It could be the banner blowing in the AC.
Did you do an edible?
I did not. If I did, you wouldn't be seeing me right now. I'd be asleep. But yeah.
But this was mostly local shipping lines, but Carl learned things. Yeah, they gave him a berth on a ship, and this time he was on the other side of the protests. He was with the union members, and when he showed up on the scene, when the blacklegs were out there roughing people up, and he was roughing them up.
Yeah, I was going to say, he probably didn't take kindly to that.
No. But if you don't remember from the second episode, part 2, the blacklegs were people that were hired to break up the protesters. But this time he was, because this time it was the union that was on strike, and the blacklegs were roughing up, union workers, and so it got to the point to where the blacklegs would scatter whenever they saw him.
I bet.
It was like the union had John Wick on their side. The blacklegs they brought guns, and so did Carl. And everyone ultimately was taken into custody, and Carl, along with the other union fighters, they were bailed out by the union. And
all right.
Carl and all the others who may or may not have had warrants, the police were looking for them because they had just been bailed out and released and everything, but they really hadn't had a chance to process them yet. So they had their names.
Right.
So if they had done any research on Carl, they would have figured out who he was, or at least who his alias was, or whatever. So Carl did what Carl does, and he bounced.
Yeah, that's what he does.
So he stowed away on a ship headed for Portuguese Angola on the West African coast, where the U.S. had no jurisdiction.
Yep.
He stayed hidden for a couple of days, but when he was found, he was taken to the captain. The captain was angry at first, but then he began to see the benefits of having this brute of a man on board.
Yeah, right.
And the fact that he had some, experience at sea, and that helped matters.
Yeah, sinking boats is experience. I guess it would.
Well, he learned from the flying ship squadron or whatever.
Okay. I still don't know what that means, but yeah. Anyway.
Once again, Carl's work ethic emerges. He was doing the work of two men with no pay other than safe passage and food.
All right, that's an admirable trait.
Yeah, he definitely had probably the best work ethic of any of these people that we've covered.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's like if I'm gonna work, I'm gonna do a good job.
I'm gonna do a good job. I'm not gonna be no slacker.
No, be a psycho killer, but not a slacker. So, the captain, like at this point, the captain loves Carl, and he's like, "Come on, stay on me. We'll pay you good. We'll pay you really good. I mean, I love having you on here. You're awesome." And Carl declined. He had behaved himself on this outing, and he was tired of behaving.
Right. Gonna say he didn't get to kill nobody for what? How long?
Yeah, he hadn't raped anybody in months either.
Oh man. Well, that we know of.
That we know of. I don't think he killed anybody on the ship.
Well, yeah, I mean, he could have killed anybody on the ship. They would have known that.
So he left more free than he had ever been, and because nobody was looking for him there.
Yeah.
Now,
but I bet that don't last long.
No, it doesn't. Well, put a knife in that.
Oh, yeah, okay. Where's my knife? There it is.
White people were in charge there, and the black natives were treated as second class or even third class citizens. The white people were occupying this Angola. Yeah. And so Carl being white not only gave him protection, it also gave him status. So
I think I see where this is going.
he roamed around Angola doing whatever he wanted, and the $20 that he had when he left the U.S. was worth a hell of a lot more in Angola.
Gotta love that exchange rate.
But there were things that were available for a price that Carl wanted, but these air quote luxuries were out of his price range, if you know what I mean.
Yep, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
But the local population there were poor, and the white overlords, who were, they were all protected.
Yep.
So if Carl wanted some of these luxuries, he'd have to work again. So the Sinclair Oil Company, they were doing expeditions of the local oil reserves there, and they had made a fortune in the U.S., and they were looking to expand, as any major oil conglomerate does.
Mm-hmm.
But the lax laws in Angola made it possible for them to cut costs on labor, as well as the fact that there were barely any safety requirements, and the locals were working for practically nothing, and that meant that they could double their profits. Yeah, don't have to spend any money on safety, don't have to pay them jack shit.
Yeah, right.
Makes you proud to be a white man, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
But the proof is in the pudding, requiring safety, though. Yeah, they wouldn't let white people do the field work because it was more dangerous than in the U.S. because of all the cost cutting. So they, like I said, they exploited the locals. 50 cents a week. You work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get to work.
Damn.
Yay, oil companies.
Oh boy. All right.
Field bosses had basically become slave drivers to the locals, and Carl was hired immediately as a field boss.
I bet.
And he loved it. He was finally in a position of authority where he could brutalize a group of people and not suffer any consequences.
Yeah, that ended up being a good trip for him.
Not going to be rooting for him on this episode.
No, I'm already not.
Nope.
Because I can see where this is going, so no, I ain't rooting for him.
Yeah, you know what's coming. So the higher ups kind of found this attitude that he had disturbing, but they were okay with it, with the yields that he was producing from his unit. His unit, and he's got no oil experience, but his unit is outproducing every other unit out there.
I wonder why.
He was a tyrant who forced his work ethic on people who weren't in good enough shape or strong enough to safely conform to Carl's work ethic. I mean,
wow.
I have a good work ethic. I'm a hard worker and everything, but I can go out there and work for 10 hours and all that stuff, and I don't quit until I'm done. I feel it for the next 3 or 4 days, though, but I don't. But I'm not going to expect a 13-year-old kid to go out there and do the same shit that I can do.
Right.
But Carl's crew production blew the other crews out of the water, and Carl was very well compensated.
Okay.
He had just kept his nose clean.
And he would have gotten away with it, too, if it wasn't for you rotten kids.
Oh, yeah. But now that he had money, he was able to sample the expensive forbidden fruit.
Yep.
Wasn't uncommon for the dirt poor and destitute locals to sell their children.
Mm-hmm.
Is that where you thought it was going?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, in his warped mind, he felt like he could have could have lived a normal life there in Angola. Yeah, normal to him being, paid well to brutalize the much less fortunate. But there's one thing that he felt that he had to overcome in order to be normal. Well, it's what he would consider normal. Take a guess as to what that is.
Oh, I don't know. I can't think right now.
We've covered it already.
We have?
Mm-hmm. It was covered more in part 1 than it was in part 2. Wait, no, my bad. It was covered at the beginning of part 2.
What, he wanted to be a dad?
No.
I don't remember. I really don't.
Okay. He had to get over his disdain for females.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. I got.
So
I remember that now.
I don't know, he may have wanted to be a dad because he wanted to get over his disdain for females.
Yeah.
I don't know. I ain't Carl.
We're not counting that one though.
No.
That goes in the Todd didn't get it column.
So he went to a local family that had 2 daughters with, and he brought a translator with him. This fucking translator needs to be beaten with a sack of hammers too.
Yeah, right.
I mean, can you imagine this? Like the translator negotiating this deal for the daughter, and actually saying it with a straight face. Oh, I don't know. I'm so thankful. I'm thankful that I live in the United States and wasn't born in any of these third world countries. You know.
Oh yeah.
Because I speak from ignorance.
Because I speak from ignorance. Right? Oh man.
But, we're gonna kind of see Carl's sick sense of humor come out too in this.
Okay.
Carl agreed, and the family agreed. They agreed on the 8-year-old daughter, and Carl they agreed on $6.
Wow.
But Carl stipulated that it was only good to me if she's a virgin. Yeah, because he still can't get over this whole unclean thing.
Right.
So if she's a virgin, then she's obviously.
Oh yeah, because didn't he get the clap or something, gonorrhea or some shit? The one time he slept with a girl.
A first-class case of gonorrhea.
Right, that's what it was.
Well, he did mess with those nurses when he was out of Salem on the Pinky Promise release program.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But the father assured him that she was, and 8 years old, I would hope that she was.
Yeah, no shit.
But Carl's like, I don't know about this. Gonna have to inspect her.
Oh God.
So Carl brought her back to his cabin. Cabin. His cabin. What's a cabin?
I don't know.
Is that how a redneck says Cuban?
Could be.
I had me a good old Cuban sandwich.
Cuban sandwich.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
We leave these in because we know you guys love it.
At least we hope you do.
Nobody's given us 1-star review about that.
Yeah, that's true. So all right. Now they're going to come flying.
Yeah, right? I know you're still listening. I know you're still listening, Tina Marie 13 or T Marie 13, whatever your name was.
Whatever your name was. Something like that.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
We miss you. You should You should message us more.
Yeah.
Jesus. Anyway. Fuck, I'm an idiot. Oh, God damn. That's what lack of sleep does to you.
If she listened to any of our episodes, she should have known that we weren't going to let that go away.
Well,
unless she listened to like some of the really early ones.
Yeah, I mean,
some of them, not all. Yeah, I mean, I listened to Death of Michael Malloy the other day.
Yeah.
That one holds up to our more recent stuff, kinda. And I mean, you can kind of hear we're kind of green and everything, but content-wise and everything, and how it was delivered, it holds up.
Yeah, it was a good one.
And that was our first episode. So,
yep.
But oh boy, here we go.
Here we go.
Carl brought her back to his cabin. You know, the cabin that was provided free of charge to him by Sinclair. And he examined her all night long. And her screams could be heard all through the night. And the next morning, he walked the girl back to his family, or back to her family, claiming that she wasn't a virgin. Well, of course, she's not now.
Not anymore. Yeah, right.
Sick fuck.
Jesus Christ.
See, now we get to give him the fucking treatment.
Yep.
And we're gonna be brutal on him.
Oh, of course, we have to.
So he wanted the 6-year-old daughter to compensate for the family's deception because she wasn't a virgin.
Well, of course he did. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, the family was terrified, and they agreed. I mean, I'd be terrified too if Frankenstein was standing at my door.
You know that's not the name of the monster, right?
I know.
Didn't we talk about that one time?
No,
Anyway, that's all.
Frankenstein was the monster.
Well, the doctor's name was Frankenstein.
Dr. Frankenstein created the monster. The monster was not Frankenstein. Dr. Frankenstein was the monster.
I guess you could look at it like that, yeah.
Yes.
I'll give you that.
Look at it that way.
I'll give you that. I didn't look at it that way, but I'll give you that.
So, so they gave up the 6-year-old, and Carl was seen by, with both girls, as he was walking them to and from their house, their family's house and everything. He was seen by people who worked for Sinclair and by law enforcement. But since he wasn't raping a white person, the occupying white law enforcement didn't bat an eye.
Oh, boy.
And he was making lots of money for Sinclair, so they didn't care either.
Yep, sounds like he's got it made. Fucking sick fuck.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. I don't care if I somehow come up with some ingenious idea, like let's say I come up with something that like Jeff Bezos did. Where I start mailing books out of my garage and that becomes Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
If I find out that one of my employees is doing something like this, I'm personally, number one, firing his ass, and number two, paying for the attorney for the victim.
Yeah. It wouldn't even get that far with me.
Yeah, point. Yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
I'm sure you are.
But
anyway.
So Carl stripped the 6-year-old down, but he couldn't get aroused. He just wasn't into women, and he accepted that. He was only into violent and brutal rape of men. So he dressed the girl and took her back to her family unharmed, but he had totally destroyed the 8-year-old.
Damn.
Carl climbed into a whiskey bottle after that for a few days, and one night he was in a bar that was for the Sinclair employees. And most of the people had gone, but there was a local teenage boy there who was working as a waiter. He was the son of one of the local oil workers, and Carl had been tipping this boy very well, which is why the boy stayed longer.
Oh, okay.
Carl was a dick to this kid, but he was actually treating him better than most of the Sinclair white men did. So the kid loosened up and even started drinking with Carl.
Oh, all right.
Which loosened him up even more. So Carl starts giving him a history lesson about the ancient Greeks.
Oh, God.
And
here we go.
The man-boy relationships that they were known to have and how sodomy was perfectly normal. That sound familiar?
Yes.
Remember part 1?
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
yes.
The boy didn't warm up to it the way Carl did back in part 1, but Carl took it and did a hell of a lot worse than that man and his friends did to him. See, there was no homosexual shame in Angola like there was in the U.S. at this point. So the boy reported Carl to his boss at Sinclair, but he didn't care about it. But it was an assault which could cause problems for Sinclair. We're talking Sinclair, and my mind is wanting to say camper van.
Camper van. Oh, Jesus.
Angus Sinclair episode, if you're wondering. What the hell I'm talking about.
Goddamn camper vans. They're always showing up.
There's no camper van in this. Carl never knew how to... I don't think Carl ever drove in his entire life, honestly. I don't.
Yeah, probably not.
But, the assault could cause problems for them, and not because of any ethical reason, but remember that scene in the movie Ants where the big grasshopper dude is just like, you see this little peanut? And the other one's, yeah, it's tiny. And then he pulls the lever on the or it wasn't a peanut, it was a piece of grain, and he pulls the lever on it, and it all come out. It was like, see, that one peanut is tiny, but a bunch of them, they outnumber us 100 to 1. You remember
right.
that?
Yeah, I do. That's
as far as animated movies go, that one was pretty good.
it was all right.
Yeah, but still, that essentially was what the way Sinclair was looking at it.
I'm waiting for Disney to make the live action version of Ants. Even though it wasn't a Disney movie, I don't think, but
it was Pixar.
You know they're going to because.
But so his boss called Carl in and read him the riot act for that. Now, Carl Panzram was a lot of things, but one thing he wasn't was somebody who would sit there and take it while somebody was chastising him about something that he knew that he had actually done wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised I made it through that without getting tongue-tied.
I am too.
That was a long one.
It was.
I think that was the longest one of those anecdotes that I've done yet.
Yeah.
But Carl beat the living shit out of this guy and even broke several chairs over his body after the guy collapsed and couldn't hold himself up anymore. He put this man into a coma, and then he went into town waiting for the inevitable, but the arrest never came. But Carl was broke now.
Yeah.
He went back. He went to the U.S. consulate and demanded passage on a ship back to the U.S.
Geez, okay.
The consulate told Carl to fuck off.
Good for them. Good for them.
But the consulate had also had 2 armed guards standing on either side of his desk.
Smart man.
But the Sinclair brass had figured Carl would try to get out, and they had reported his crimes to the consulate. And the consulate had been in touch with various police departments in the U.S. about Carl, and his record was coming back to haunt him. He told Carl that he was a monster, and the U.S. didn't want him back, and the only thing that was waiting for him if he did make it back to the U.S. was a noose.
A noose.
I love the balls on this guy, but if he didn't have 2 armed guards, he would have been like, "Okay, where do you want to leave, sir?"
Right? Oh shit.
So Carl set up in the woods near the oil fields where he planned on preying on the wealthy Americans who would come to trade with the locals.
Okay.
And of course, there was a personal element to this too.
Oh yeah.
I must get revenge on Sinclair. Because we all know that he can't take being fired.
Yeah.
But it wasn't going as well as planned. See, they knew that Carl was out there, so they would travel in armed groups. And since he wasn't under Sinclair's umbrella anymore, he wasn't protected by anybody either.
Ooh, all right.
So Carl's alone in the woods, getting hungry and desperate, and one day a local boy stumbles across Carl. Bad move.
Yeah.
I ain't blaming the victim, but that boy it was not that boy's day.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't his fault either. You didn't know.
No, it wasn't. No, he didn't. He was just out there probably, looking for like berries or something like that. Just maybe hunting or whatever. But Carl grabbed him, ripped off his clothes, and began raping him. And the boy tried to cart. The boy tried to fight Carl, but obviously it was no match for Carl. And all of Carl's rage was taken out on this boy. He had him like on a large slab of rock, and he would smash the boy's head in sequence with his thrusts.
Oh, Jesus. That's terrible.
And then he smashed the boy's head, and his skull and brains splattered as Carl,
Yeah.
So Carl then waited until dark, and what do you think he did?
I don't know. Went into town.
No, he went back into the oil area.
Oh, well, close enough.
What do you think he did?
Kill somebody?
Nope.
Oh, all right. Then I have no idea. Did he rape
Fire!
somebody? Oh, he lived. Oh, that's right. He did do fires too, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
He set fire to the rigs. They now had oil fires. And which no rigs means no money for the locals. Well, and like losing like to you and me, it would be like losing a quarter to Sinclair, but
Yeah.
but the locals tried bucket brigades to put it out, but nothing happened. It just like a tire fire, you just gotta let it die out on its own. Grab a beer and watch it burn. That was a horrible Hank Hill.
Yeah, just a burn.
That was a horrible Hank Hill.
I used to try and I just gave up. I think the line's funny enough. You don't have to do the voice.
Yeah.
Plus, I can't do voices, so it's all good. As we found out on that one, what was that episode we did?
Yeah, right. That was an early one, but the fire finally died out on its own, and 1/10 of the production from that reserve was gone in one night.
Wow!
But they never figured out the true cause of the blaze. So,
yeah.
Well, I mean, think about it. It makes sense. I mean, the last thing they're going to think is Carl Panzram comes onto the property and just just flicks his bick.
Yeah, that's not gonna. Yeah.
But because of all the lax safety procedures that they had going on there, I mean, anything could have set that off.
Yeah, good point.
And that's probably how they looked at it.
Yeah, so, I bet that's exactly what they did. They're like, we're not really doing any kind of safety regulations here, so anything could happen.
Right. That probably is exactly what happened. Carl Panzram probably never even crossed their minds in that fire.
Yeah. So for all they, for what they were concerned, he was long gone.
Yep. Or maybe they knew that he was out in the woods, but they probably didn't think that he'd have the balls to come back onto the property.
Little did they know.
Little did they know. But still, I'm positive that Carl never came up in conversation.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
But Carl knew, and that was good enough for him.
Yeah.
So Carl got the hell out of there, and he went to Libido Bay, and that place was a shithole. I mean, it made Angola look like a resort.
Libido Bay.
Lobito. Libido.
Oh, okay, not like. Never mind.
Not libido. Not libido.
Yeah.
Libito.
Well, I mean, we had Otto Hooker in another episode. I mean, why not?
Oh God.
I mean, shit. And Mentos.
Oh God. I just blew up the oil reserves, but I got Mentos. It's okay.
Yeah.
Actually, Otto Hooker got Mento.
Yeah, Otto Hooker got him. That's right. Oh, so, man.
His money was worth even more there, and the poverty was through the straw roofs of the shitty huts in town.
All right.
He frequented the bars, and of course he did.
Well, yeah.
A drink in Luanda, Angola, which is where he was, cost a nickel there. So, but there obviously wasn't much to do touristy there, short of the canoe rides and hunting expeditions. And the target for these hunting expeditions, take a guess.
Kids?
No. Legitimate business.
People in general?
No.
Sorry, I watched too many movies. What, like lions and tigers and bears, oh my?
No, and no, but you're close.
Elephants?
Rivers. Rivers.
Fish? Snakes? Anacondas?
I said you were close when you said lion, tigers, and bears, and you go fish.
Well, you said rivers.
What else? You live in Florida.
They have alligators in Africa?
No, but they do have crocodiles.
Oh, yeah, I guess they do. The Nile's over there. I was never good at geography.
I said they had rivers. This is in Africa.
Well, there's fish in rivers.
They're not big game fish.
You ever seen an alligator gar? Or a tarpon? I mean, I don't know if they have tarpon over there, but you've seen a tarpon?
This is freshwater. Oh, wait. Alligator gar, freshwater.
Dude, it is what it is.
Crocodiles, Todd. Crocodiles.
Okay. I got it now.
Huge crocodiles, and put a knife in that.
Oh, where's my knife? Oh, shit, I got to take it out of the other guy and put it in this one. I'm down to one knife.
So Carl hired a larger boat and 6 white men with the last of his cash that he had.
Okay.
And they went upstream, meaning against the current, and the locals, thinking that they were just on a 3-hour tour.
Little buddy.
It was a several-day tour, and they were pointing out the smaller crocodiles to Carl. And we're like, but don't worry, we'll see some big ones tomorrow. Promise.
Always the promise of tomorrow.
No, but they weren't lying. They knew where the crocs were. The big one. So they stopped and they dragged the boat a ways into the woods so that nobody would get eaten during the night. And they didn't realize it, but they had less to worry about from the crocodiles than they did from their passengers.
Yes. Very true. God.
They set up camp and they ate and they went to sleep, and with one crew member standing guard, and like in like 2 shifts through the night or whatever, 2 or 3 shifts. But Carl couldn't sleep.
Of course not. He had some raping to do.
I need to kill. I need to kill. And rapel. Both. I need both.
At the same time.
So Carl got up to take a piss, and the crewman that was standing watch accompanied him because of the threat from the crocodiles. Carl did his business, and the next morning the other crew members had woken up and they had heard a gunshot. But that wasn't uncommon, so they thought nothing of it. But Carl came back alone.
Of course he did.
He mentioned for one of the crew, it was like, "Hey, you, come on, there's something wrong. Come with me."
There's something wrong.
Something was wrong.
Yeah.
They went to the same place where the first guy was, and Carl was on him right as the crewman noticed the bullet hole in his buddy's head. Carl then raped him and killed him. He did the same thing with the other 4 men, and why they fell for this, I have no idea. Unless they all didn't wake up at the same time.
It could be.
Yeah, that's the only thing it can be, honestly, because it's okay. He comes back once alone.
Yeah, and everybody's awake having coffee, and
and then he comes back alone again.
Something happened to the other guy. Come quick, but only one of you.
Only one of you. Yeah, they had to have been like waking up one at a time.
Yeah,
that's the
only way that would have worked.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
Jesus.
But Carl had raped and murdered 6 men in less than 12 hours.
Damn.
He then stole his money back. I mean, he likes his he likes his guides to be alive. Thank you very much. He went back to the river, and there was a pack of particularly big crocodiles, and those crocodiles got a very big meal that day.
Yeah.
So Carl cleaned the boat up, put it back in the water, and they headed downstream back to Libido Bay. But the locals there didn't buy his story about how 6 extremely experienced sailors and crocodile hunters managed to get eaten by crocodiles.
Right?
And Carl, as the sole survivor, without even a single scratch on him.
Yeah, that's not going to fly.
Not to mention the boat didn't have a scratch on it either.
Oh, he didn't think this one through.
Well, he didn't care.
Well, you know what I
But
mean.
white people still ruled there and all that stuff. But everyone knew Carl had killed him. But remember, I said that these were white men.
Mm.
If word had gotten out that 6 white men were killed and murdered, the town would have been blamed and obliterated. And once again, racism saves Carl's ass, and he slipped away like Homer Simpson into the bushes in that meme.
Right? Oh, God.
So he survived the next few weeks in the woods, preying on unsuspecting locals in every way imaginable. And then he tried to get on board an American ship, but all the ships had been warned about him and about the fact that he was known to stow away. So security there was tight. They were on the lookout for Carl.
Good.
And they had pictures. I'm sure they had pictures like sent over in like a telegram or whatever from the United States or.
Telegram.
Can you send a picture through a telegram? I don't know.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think you can either. But still,
I'm sure they probably sent a description. I mean, Jesus Christ, how many guys that big were there?
Well, that's true. Yeah, the 6'5" brute of a man that looks like a freaking demon out of hell that
Yeah,
with dick on his breath.
with dick on his breath. Jesus,
got him.
Fuck. Yeah, you got me. Oh, gee. Oh, my God. We're going to hell.
So,
oh, man.
On more than one occasion, Carl was caught trying to climb on board ships at night. And every time he was caught, and they just chunked him into the water. Just threw his ass overboard.
Get off my boat.
Now I've been thrown from a train and a boat.
And I'm still kicking.
So he found a ship bound for Portugal, and he got on board one of them, and he did the same thing that he had done before, staying hidden and emerging and convincing the captain that he was a good worker and earning his keep. He's a creature of habit.
Mm-hmm.
He keeps redoing the same things that he had done previously, regardless of whether they worked or not. I guess you throw shit at a wall enough times, eventually you're going to hit something.
Yeah, apparently. It's going to hit something.
So he arrived in Lisbon, Portugal, where he quickly found the bars and people to rob.
Yeah. And it's Lisbon, not Lipson.
That's what I said,
Yeah, you said Lipson, but it's all right. I wasn't letting that one go. Not after the dick on his breath. God,
You let that one go because you have dick on your breath?
No.
No, I made it. I made a typo. I'm like Ron Burgundy. I just read what's on the screen.
Who put a question mark at the end of that line? You know he reads exactly what's on the teleprompter.
No, it's
Ron
a
Burgundy. Jesus. Anyway.
So, but it was different than in Angola when he was in Lisbon, and definitely different than the U.S. In Angola, it was a Wild West type of environment, for him anyway, because of the racism. In the U.S., he'd commit a crime, hop a train, and go elsewhere. But Portugal was different, and the police in Portugal were on him immediately, so he had to bounce. So where did he go next? Take a guess.
Germany?
No. Like
Back to the U.S.?
Creature of habit. Creature of habit.
I don't know. He hopped on a train to somewhere?
No. He went back to the U.S. consulate.
Okay, well, I said U.S. I was close. But I mean, I know he was still over there, so I got you.
But this consulate wasn't as ballsy as the one in Angola, but he still wasn't going to help Carl. It's like, let some other country deal with Carl. So Carl tried to board a U.S. ship again, and once again he was thrown overboard. I can just see him like hitting the water, coming back up. Foiled again. Carl angry.
Carl angry.
Let Carl on boat.
Oh, okay. Here we go. All right.
He finally got on a British naval ship that was headed for Glasgow, Scotland. He made it on, but his little ruse was unsuccessful.
Oh.
The captain didn't care how good of a worker Carl was. Carl was flogged at the mid-mast of his ship and then thrown at a brig where he resumed his rodent diet.
Well, you said it. Creature of habit.
Yeah. Well, it's just all that's there. Portugal to Scotland in a 1900s
in
era
a sailing vessel. Yes, that's not a short trip.
Mm-mm. So Carl was sentenced to a long stint in a British prison, but he pulled Pee Wee Gaskins and he slipped out in a rolling laundry basket under mounds of dirty prison laundry.
Well, it couldn't have been mounds. That guy was so big, it could have been like 2 or 3 fucking uniforms covered. Because he filled up the entire basket.
Yeah, probably.
With just him.
So he went to the docks, this time using an alias, and he gave a verbal resume as to his experience at sea. And while there are many with more experience, that big, halting brute with a great work ethic got him hired.
Okay.
Not to mention the fact that all he wanted was to work on the ship in exchange for food and passage, and he was headed back to New York.
I thought for sure you were going to say all he wanted was a Pepsi.
So in 1992, in 1922, Carl makes it back to New York City, and it was the beginning of the summer. He went to the Port Authority to get paperwork for his yacht. Remember, he had purchased that one legally. Well, with stolen money, but the purchase was legal. As far as
the purchase was legal,
as far as they were concerned,
right?
So he then began looking for similar boats to his that he could steal. Do the old little repaint and switcheroo.
Oh yeah, why not?
And I'm sure that he was drinking when he came up with this, but he decided that he could make a pretty good living as a mafia hitman, because this is during Prohibition.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, there's no doubt that he would have made a good hitman.
I don't know. He's too sloppy.
Well, yeah, you got a point there.
I mean, not for the mafia. He could have done it, like hitman for hire, like a, private, like a independent contractor. Maybe he wasn't drunk because he was trying to make provisions.
Oh.
He wound up in Providence, Rhode Island, and then into Connecticut, where he found an arms dealer who made silencers.
Oh.
And he was really pissed off when he found out that silencers didn't actually make the gun silent.
Yeah, it doesn't make the little pew pew sound that does in the movies.
No, it just lowers the volume by a factor of like 2 or 3.
Yeah, most of them. I mean, it depends on what gun you put it on. If you put it on 22, it's not going to be completely silent, but it'll quiet it sufficiently. But if you put it on like a 45 or a 9mm, it's still
or even
loud.
a 30, even a 38. And Carl preferred 38s. And those are loud too. They're not as loud as a 45, but a 38 is still loud.
Yeah.
But so he bailed on that plan. It's just, dude, you're pulling people off of the street and raping them in solitude. You're able to find these quiet places. If you want to freaking off somebody for profit, just do this. Just pretend you're raping them, and just get them in some place like that. Pop, you're gone, and you're out of there, and you go get your money. But he didn't think about that like that. He just wanted like I just fired a gun. He wanted that kind of a silencer.
Right.
But at this point, he was in Salem, Massachusetts, and he didn't really care much for the name of this town.
Okay. Yeah, I guess he wouldn't, would he?
No. But
oh, Jesus.
At least he's not a witch.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, boy. Anyway.
This is one of the worst. I mean, not as far as what he does, but what he does after.
Yeah.
So there he met a boy named George McMahon. And George had a basket with him, and Carl's like, "Hey, you want, what's the basket?" He's like, "I'm going to get groceries for my mom." And he's like, "Hey, will you show me this around town? I just, actually, you know what? I have to do this, right?" He says, "Would you show me around town? I just got in town. I don't know the place yet." And George agreed. And he and Carl walked off with George just happily spilling his life story to Carl. And, they went to a grocery store where Carl bought a magazine and he got both of them sodas or Paps, because this is Massachusetts.
Yeah.
But George's aunt worked at this store, and Carl was friendly to her, and she thought nothing of this hulking brute of a man hanging out with her 11-year-old nephew.
What you got in them sacks, boy? Barf.
Different times, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there wasn't the internet yet.
No.
Or America's Most Wanted.
Yeah. Carl then asked George if he wanted to make 50 cents. And George agreed. And they dropped on a trolley. And Carl made George think that he had a surprise for him. And he did. Just not the kind of surprise that George had in mind.
Yeah. I shouldn't be laughing at that, but fuck.
Oh, it's just the way I word this shit. I mean, it's just.
That is part of it. Yeah, for sure.
I know.
At the same time, though,
it's levity. It's a horrible story and everything, and you kind of have to laugh at it and get a beer and everything, and to get through it and all that stuff. But I mean, we have not the only victim here. There's been two victims since we started this podcast that we have ragged on, and that was Dee Dee Blanchard, Gypsy Rose's mother.
Yes.
Because she fucking deserved it. And there was Henry Lee Lucas's mother. She fucking deserved it too.
Absolutely.
People say, well, why is it always the people that it's like, oh, they light up the room with their smile when they walk in. They love to laugh and blah, 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 blah. Why isn't always these people? Well, there's two of them right there. Dee Dee Blanchard and Henry Lee Lucas's mother.
Yes.
Kill yourself, Henry.
Oh, God. Oh, it's too funny. I had a feeling it was going there. Because why not?
But, yeah, those two actually did deserve it. So,
yes,
but
100%.
Any other victim that we covered, I mean, we're sympathetic to them and their families.
Always.
So they got off the trolley, and once they were alone, Carl says, "I'm going to kill you. I'm going to sodomize you until you die. I'm going to smash your skull until your brains leak out. Do you understand me?" I don't think George understood what he was talking about.
I wouldn't think so.
I would hope not.
Yeah. I wouldn't. Yeah, no.
But he then raped George for more than 3 hours. And he just pulled him off the street and he found a place in private in the city where he could rape him during the daytime for 3 hours. That's what I was talking about him, wanting to be the hitman and all that stuff. If you can do that, why can't you just find a place? I mean,
yeah.
And I'm not.
I mean, you're exactly right.
I'm not saying this is what you should have done, Carl, but because you shouldn't have done any of it. But still, it's like, God, if you can do that, shooting a guy in the head and then getting the hell out of there, hell, use President Taft's gun.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. But that was a 45. That's to be too loud because silencers don't really silence anything.
That's true.
True. Anyway.
It was a 38 with a silencer on it. As long as they were far enough away, and as long as they were in a place that echoed, it would have been okay.
Yeah.
That's why in the grasslands out, on the New Jersey side of the George Washington Bridge, there's probably hundreds of bodies buried there.
Oh, yeah.
Carl took his time and got lots of pleasure from his torture of George, and then he smashed his head with a rock when he was done. And then this is the part that I was saying, it's just like fucked up. Like, not that the rest of it wasn't fucked up, but this is just even more fucked up.
All right.
Do you remember what I said that he bought from that grocery store that his aunt worked at?
No.
2 pops and a magazine.
Okay.
He ripped pages out of the magazine and stuffed them in George's mouth as a way to let his aunt know that the friendly man with her nephew took good care of him.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay.
He did cover the body up so it would be harder to find, giving him time to get out of Salem. And he was found, George was found 3 days later and police began arresting suspects, but none of them were identified by George's aunt. And this story actually made national news.
Did it? All right.
By this time, Carl was back in New York, and he had started using the name John O'Leary at this point. And he had gotten a job, a night watchman at a mill company.
Okay.
The manager figured nobody would break in with this brute watching the place.
Yeah, right.
Now, his business had been hit a couple of times, and it was, it was probably mafia related in some degree.
Mm-hmm.
But so he sees Carl, and hey, Carl's like, okay. I'll come be bored. It's your company.
Yeah, right. Jesus. All right.
So it was, like I said, it was a boring job to Carl. Carl even started bringing moonshine onto the job to pass the time.
Yeah, I can see that. I could totally see that happening. Damn it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm fidgety again. I can't help it.
Stop it.
I'm trying.
But
I'm going to handcuff my hands to my arms of my chair so I can't fidget with the mic anymore.
But one of the teenage boys who worked there, it was another George, ironically enough. This guy's name was George Wallace, Wallosin. Wallison. I'm just going to call him Wallison.
That sounds right.
He hung around after the second shift ended, and he was shooting the shit with Carl, and Carl was in the mood. So Carl began to force himself on George, but George didn't resist. This was consensual. And
okay.
Carl and George kind of became sort of an item.
Oh.
And Carl was discovering sort of a soft spot in his hide for George. But of course he knew that the relationship could only be temporary.
Right. Because he had hard spots too.
Yeah, exactly.
That came out wrong. Or did it?
Well, I mean, we were talking in part 2, like he could have, when he was escaping from Salem, he probably could have been shot several times. That wouldn't have even phased him.
Yeah. He's got that definite. He's got the mindset to be indestructible for sure.
Yeah.
At least for a little bit. When limbs start falling off, that's kind of where it ends. But
yeah. The following spring, Carl was in a predicament.
uh-oh.
He needed blood, and he didn't want to subject George to it. So he told George that he had to go away and take care of some things, but he'd be back in the summer to get George, and they'd go away and they'd have amazing adventures together.
Okay.
Once again, I am not setting you up.
Okay. I hope not. You're good at that.
If I say I'm not, I'm not.
All right. We'll use that as the the guideline,
the safe word,
the goalpost. That's the goalpost. If you say you're not messing with me, then you're not. Okay.
Right. So Carl went back to the rails, but the drifters were being kept off of the trains at this point, resulting in homeless camps in desolate places popping up. Starting to look more like modern times now.
Oh yeah.
Also, crops in the Midwest were beginning to fail. Guess why?
Dust Bowl.
Yep, the Dust Bowl was looming. Normal people were already losing their homes and livelihoods at this point and were becoming homeless. So Carl didn't know what to do. So plan A was back in play. Steal a boat that looked like his, because he had the paperwork for it. So he found one in Providence, Rhode Island. It needed work, but Carl could handle it. He waited until midnight and took it out into the river. And by the morning, he was to the Long Island Sound, where his original boat was, except it was on the bottom.
Yeah, right.
Along with a handful of his victims, and all of the riches that he had on said boat.
Oh, did he have riches?
Well, yeah, he had been basically pirating at night and everything.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah. So he had loot.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, he was doing pretty well running that scam with the guys and all that stuff that he was. I keep wanting to say that he ate them. I mean, I'm serious. He's got that vibe.
I know. I was thinking the same thing. It's like, dude, I'm surprised he didn't. I mean, dude, it's like, I mean, if he hadn't got caught, it probably would have escalated that.
I agree. Like,
because
especially if he wound up going back out into the Midwest during the Dust Bowl. He was ready to go get George, but he still had a few things that he had to do first.
As you do.
So Carl's new ride, he always has a few things he needs to do first. But Carl's new ride was moored in New Haven, and he began his latest rape and rob spree. Yeah, and he wasn't making as much as he wanted, so he set on his sights on the mansions again. He was cautious this time. And he also knew that his next arrest could easily be his last.
Well, yeah. So what? I mean, so you said he was cautious, so we had it outside to make sure nobody was home. They all left. Yeah,
pretty much. But that plan was short lived. And we're getting to that right now. But if he had gotten arrested and sent away for life or executed or whatever, that would mean no Georgie.
Right.
I can't live without my Georgie.
We all float out here, Georgie.
I'm going to hug him and squeeze him and call him George.
Dude, you're doing Looney Tunes and I'm doing fucking Stephen King.
But that's Carl Panzram.
I know. And that's perfect because he is Looney Tunes and Stephen King.
He is.
So it worked out good. But yeah, that's funny.
So, but the reason why he kind of abandoned that plan, I mean, he might have got, robbed one and then ran into a little bit of a problem. Take a guess as what the problem was.
The boat couldn't hold all the stuff he stole?
You're close.
Or are we still talking about the boat? I don't even know.
No. You're very close. How would he get his haul back to the boat?
Carry it? I mean,
that's the problem. How would he get his haul back to the boat?
I thought you were asking me. I'm like,
no.
Dude, a wheelbarrow? I don't know.
Yeah, but he's going from the freaking ritzy area of New Haven back to the thing. And he doesn't have a car. He doesn't, so yeah. So it's just like, okay, all right. So he decided that he'd start hitting the larger yachts, and he had already been successful at doing that at night already. But but this would be easier because most of the bigger and nicer ones, they'd be moored out in the bay because their rich owners would leave them, they'd go out and they'd party on them, then they'd leave by dinging and go back home at night. So they figured that by mooring them out in the bay that it
was safe.
It was safe from people like Carl.
Well,
But he could sail right up next to a boat, rob it, and be out of there in no time.
Oh yeah.
So Carl wound up with lots of jewelry to sell, as well as quite a liquor selection. Yeah,
he could open his own bar.
Yeah, but Prohibition was going on, so
he could open his own speakeasy.
Yeah, but how his boat was big enough; it was 38 feet long. Yeah, he could probably, if he wanted to, he probably could have made a floating speakeasy and made bank. Just like speakeasy cruises.
Yeah. I wonder if anybody did that.
I'm sure they did, to be honest with you.
Back then, I know that happens like on a daily basis right now today,
but when it was illegal, we're gonna have to cover Prohibition as a topic of an episode at some point. Like, do a deep dive into like everything that went on during Prohibition.
Yeah, well, because I don't know about cults, but there was crimes, killers, and beer involved, so why not?
Yeah, and the mafia. So we're going to need Vic on that one.
Yay, Vic!
But Carl wound up with Prohibition was going on, and he could probably sell the booze for a lot. But this is Carl Panzram we're talking about.
Yeah, he's keeping that shit for himself. I mean, I would. Shit.
Carl had lost Taft's gun at that point, but one of the boats that he had robbed belonged to the sheriff that arrested him a few years prior.
Oh.
He stole that gun and got the same satisfaction from killing with it that he had with Taft's gun.
I could imagine. Killing people with the sheriff's gun?
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
anyway,
the sheriff's out there drinking on his yacht during Prohibition.
Yeah, well, rules for thee and not for me.
Yep. So finally, he went to go get George. He had lots of money, lots of booze, and once he got George, the two of them stocked the boat with food and other provisions. And George just lost his mind when he saw the yacht and all the stuff inside it. He's like, "Oh my God, jackpot!" So they set sail for a couple of days, and then another problem presented itself. Take a guess.
He wrecked the boat again.
Nope.
I don't know.
George Wallison was a lot of things, but one thing he wasn't was seaworthy.
Oh.
He was seasick just about the entire time.
Yeah, I can see how that would put a damper on the romantic getaway.
Yeah. So Carl still had to paint the yacht, so he moored at Kingston, repainted it, and renamed the boat, and he named it what his other boat was called.
Mm-hmm.
And then he searched for a buyer. It's just like, okay, I don't want to lose Georgie.
Right.
So he's going to sell the boat. So he found a guy. They had drinks. They had drinks in a bar, and then they went on board the boat so that the potential buyer could, take it out and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And but the man was being shady, and he tried to take the boat off of them for nothing, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
He pulled a gun.
Yeah.
Bad move. That man never knew what hit him. As soon as he drew the gun, Carl got it off of him and shot him in the head. Like freaking ninja fast.
You know, I heard that it takes your brain, like 100 milliseconds to register pain.
Mm-hmm.
But and I'm only saying this because this is the story that I heard. I don't know if it's true, but like the little submarine that imploded.
Yeah,
that implosion happened at 25 milliseconds. So they were dead before their brains even registered it.
Well,
which is the only way to go.
That's the way I want to go. Lining. Yeah, there's a silver lining there. But this guy, he got that gun. It only takes like a half a second to pull the trigger of a gun.
Oh yeah.
Carl got it away from him and shot him in the head in that amount of time.
Yeah, well, you know, the guy probably wasn't used to having a gun.
And he definitely wasn't used to frickin', Franken Ninja.
Franken Ninja. Let's make that movie, dude. We have to make that movie.
Franken Ninja.
Franken Ninja. I love it. I'm surprised there hasn't been one yet.
No kidding.
Come on, Sci-Fi Channel. Make Franken Ninja.
Franken Ninja.
and you can make Franken Ninja part shark.
But George was scared, and he just stood there as Carl pulled the wallet out of the man's pants and everything. And the money that the man had was just shoddy counterfeit bills.
Really?
These con men, they need to really, I mean, you're not going to pull a con on Carl Panzram.
Yeah, no matter how good you are.
Mm-mm. He's been through a hell of a lot worse than anything you can dish out.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to say, and he will eat you.
And he will eat you.
I really do, because it just seems like him and Boone
like should. Yeah,
him and Boone Helm would have made quite the odd couple.
Indeed, they would have.
But
shit. Anyway,
so Carl told George to fetch the spare anchor so that they could get rid of him, and George was still scared, and he's like, "We got to call the police." Carl's like, "The police are never going to take our word for what happened. We'd both be arrested, and we'd both be busting rocks for the rest of our life."
Maybe it could be cellmates.
He wasn't wrong, though.
Yeah.
But finally, George saw a reason, but he was still rattled, and they sailed off, and they finally dumped the body overboard. And this is only day 3 of their excursion.
Wow. Just fucking wow, man.
It's just, I mean, at this point, it's a comedy of errors here with everything that he does. It just blows up in his face every single time. And these aren't bad plans that he's coming up with. It just, for every plan, there's like a gazillion different options and just their outcomes.
Yeah.
It's like when
they're good plans. They're just poorly executed.
It's like when Iron Man asked Doctor Strange, it's like, is there anyone where we win? Only one.
Only one.
Is there anything where I get out of this scot-free? Only one.
Only one.
There can be only one. So the next morning when George woke up, Carl was gone. Carl had gone into town to steal some fishing nets, and George decided that he was done with all of this, so he jumped in the water to swim to shore, but some fishermen saw him and they scooped him out of the water, and George was like, "I need the police." So he completely lied to them, saying that he had been promised a job on the boat and that Carl had raped him repeatedly the entire time that he was on the boat. And then he reported the shooting, which literally was self-defense, but George said that it was murder.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The police issued a bolo for John O'Leary. Carl hadn't even told George his real name. I found that a little crazy, you know? It's like,
yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you're not, I mean, if you have a soft spot for this person or whatever, you know, like we talked about earlier, and you still don't tell that person your real name, that person is not long for this world.
No. But when Carl got back and he realized he was gone, he realized that, you know, I mean, he had been betrayed before, but this one stung because, you know, he liked George.
Yeah, he actually wasn't going to kill him.
Yeah, remember in part 1 I said he liked like maybe 3 people?
Yeah.
George was one of them.
I know.
So he dropped to his knees, threw up his hands, and yelled, "For fake new kid!"
No, he didn't.
Oh, come on. I hadn't dropped one of those in a while.
I know. I thought it was over. Apparently not.
It will never be over. You'll never see it coming.
Okay.
So
you're probably right, though.
He looked for George on the street, but he quickly learned that the police were looking on him. So he got back to his yacht and he got the hell out of Dodge. Carl sailed all day, and by nighttime he had made it to Nyack, N-Y-A-C-K, New York.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Nyack.
Nyack.
We'll just go with Yak.
Nyack. I have no idea.
N-Y-A-C-K. Nyack.
Nyack. I have no idea.
So he got drunk then, and he passed out on the boat. And he woke up the next morning staring into the twin barrels of a shotgun.
All right. Now we're getting somewhere.
I'm going to wake up. I don't care how drunk I was. If I hear that, I'm waking up.
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
So John O'Leary was arrested on charges of sodomy, burglary, and robbery, and they seized his boat. Now, if you're scoring at home, Carl is 32 years old at this point.
Okay, good, because I lost track.
But
because I wasn't scoring at home.
He said that he was 40, and he was from Nevada, and because of the hard life he'd had, he could pass as 40.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But Carl went down without a fight, and George's betrayal really had him down.
Mm-hmm.
But once he was in jail, all of his primal instincts came back. 2 days in jail, Carl attempted a jailbreak. He recruited 5 other inmates to help him, and they broke apart their beds using the metal as prying tools to dig the mortar away from their window bars. And Carl and his cellmate, Fred Federoff, they were having success, but there was a routine inspection, and when the guards came into his cell, Carl charged at him because he was caught in the act. And they overpowered him, and he was thrown into solitary confinement.
His favorite place.
Yeah. His co-conspirators ratted Carl out as the ringleader.
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But this prison was a hotel compared to the other places that he had been.
Well, yeah.
A cot and regular food while in solitary.
3 hots a cot and all the sex you don't want. I believe I said that in the other one too, but anyway.
Yeah, but he's in solitary.
Mm.
Although he was going to be in solitary for a while, so he had time to cook up a new plan.
Oh,
but he was still an asshole while he was in solitary. It's just like when that little door would open up with his meal, he'd try to smash the hand or bite it.
Right. Why not? What else you got to do? You're in solitary.
And I may have jumped the gun on that one. That
Oh.
may have happened. That may have happened later.
Well,
Whatever. It happened.
spoiler alert. Sorry.
In fact, I think that I didn't have that. I didn't have that here. I just.
Yeah.
It happens later.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
In court, Carl didn't. He just sat there. He didn't even talk to his public defender. He was just planning on what to do next if he got once or if he got out.
Mm-hmm.
But in consultations with the attorney prior to court, he convinced the attorney that he was an oil man, and and that was how he had gotten the money for his boat and all the nice things that were in it. Carl's bail was set for $5,000. He convinced his attorney that he didn't have access to his holdings in California, and that the only thing that he had with him was his yacht and the things that were in it. And as fate would have it, Carl's attorney was in the market for a boat.
Well, ain't that a coinky dink?
He would give this fully outfitted yacht to the attorney worth over $10,000 in money back at that time, if the attorney paid his bail. So they shook on the deal. Carl signed the paperwork, and then the attorney headed out to his new yacht. Now, it should be noted that the attorney's last name was Cashin, spelled Cashin.
Cash in.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Are you sure this isn't made up, dude?
Yes, this is another one that I looked just like
Because I mean, like, dude, like seriously, auto hooker, cash in, Mento.
It's Cashin.
No, it's cash in. That's how it's spelled. That's how I'm saying it. It's cash in.
I know, but
cash in meant. I mean, I know Mento was spelled different, but it's cash in, Mento, and auto hooker, and Libido Bay. And you're telling me this isn't a made up story? This sounds exactly like a made up story. I know it's not. But look at it from my point of view. It sure does sound like one with these names.
So Cashin went to Nyack to get his new yacht.
And Nyack.
He went to the Port Authority to make everything nice and legal, but when they inspected the boat, they realized it wasn't the same boat listed on the paperwork.
Of course not.
They did some research and they realized that this boat had been stolen. So the police came and they were all laughing at Cashin because his own client had scammed him.
Brilliant.
And as Cashin left the Port Authority, he yelled, "Perfect again!"
Yeah, he probably did.
Like I said, he ain't gonna see it coming.
It's all right.
But in June of 1923, Carl stole another boat in Connecticut. It belonged to a doctor who actually looked at this theft as a blessing because the boat was a beater. So Carl got it a short distance away, but the rudder locked and it crashed into some rocks.
How many boats has he wrecked now?
Oh, he's wrecked. He's wrecked two. One was taken out by a hurricane. So he's wrecked two and then had one lost. I mean,
so three boats. This guy was actually a functioning pirate at one point, or 2 points actually, and he's fucking wrecked 3 boats. How does that even happen? See, this is why I was thinking the story's made up.
Dude, I didn't write this.
I know you didn't. No,
this isn't that episode.
I know, but you know what I mean. Like, look at it from my point of view. I mean, all these crazy names. You got a guy who's stealing from yachts that can't fucking sail a boat because he's crashed fucking 3 of them.
He can now. He just said, but the thing is all of the damage to this boat was under the water level. It's not like he could just dive in and inspect the boat that he was trying to steal.
All right. I mean, you can, but yeah.
So Carl went back to the same marina again to try again.
He went back to the same place.
But it was evening when he got back, and all the yachts were out on the water with their rich owners partying in them.
Yeah.
So he went to the train station, and this was a high class passenger train, and he found a room with all the luggage, with luggage racks with lots of suitcases in there.
Mm-hmm.
He found a fire axe. He opened the door with said fire axe, and score!
Here's Johnny.
He found all sorts of loot. Yeah, so he was set for a while. He would sell the score and buy another boat legitimately, well, with stolen money, and then sail to South America and start over. He was getting his things together, and then he heard the cock of a pistol behind him. He turned around to see a police officer pointing a gun at him. And Carl grabbed the axe and attacked the cop. But the cop was in great shape. He had his adrenaline pumping because he was fighting for his life. Mm-hmm. Carl was tired from that shipwreck, and he hadn't slept in 48 hours.
All right.
So he was arrested again, and he was locked in a jail cell, and there he yelled, "Perfect Dugan!"
Yeah, no, he didn't.
Joseph Paul Franklin episode, people.
Oh, they know.
And several other episodes after that.
Every episode after that.
Not everyone. Yeah, I hadn't broken out the Perfect Nougat in a while.
I didn't mind.
So
I was happy that it wasn't happening.
So John O'Leary was once locked behind bars. He was grilled repeatedly, and he confessed to being an escaped prisoner from Oregon, and that he had been in prison for killing a cop. There's a half-truth there.
Yeah, there is.
Mento, I mean, he turned the guy that killed Mento loose. He busted him out of prison.
Mm-hmm.
But the cops didn't believe him. But then one of the craziest things happened. The cop who Carl had attacked with the axe actually came to his defense.
Say what?
Not setting you up. He said that Carl could have killed him in an instant, but he didn't. So the police contacted Oregon about John O'Leary, and they gave a description. A description.
Perfect Dugan.
Carl looked much different now than he had before, and he'd been using a different alias when he was in Oregon. But they still put it together. Jeff Baldwin was the alias that he was using in Oregon, and there was a $500 reward on him, which Carl tried to claim.
Really? Oh my.
He just doesn't give a shit.
No, obviously not. Fuck. I'm Carl. I'm here to claim the reward on Carl. That's my other brother, Carl.
Okay, say that again because you kind of broke up.
Oh, you said he went, that's just how he was because he went to claim the reward on himself, basically. And they just went in there. I just said, hey, I'm Carl. I'm here to collect the bounty on Carl.
Yeah.
He's my brother. I'm the other brother, Carl.
I'm Jeff. I'm collecting the money on Carl. Or I'm Carl. I'm collecting the money on Jeff. And by the way, I'm also Jeff.
Yeah.
That's more like it.
Hi, I'm Carl. I'm the other brother, Carl.
Yeah. So
I want to collect a bounty on him.
Yeah.
I mean him.
Yeah. Damn, it is pouring. Holy crap. But Carl went to court, and plans were made to extradite him back to Oregon. In New York, he was looking at a 5-year sentence for burglary, and he took a plea deal and pled guilty. And then after he had pled guilty to that, then the DA then began filing like assault charges on him.
Okay.
He said that Carl was too violent to be back on the street and pushed for 5 more years. The DA had set him up.
Yeah.
And Carl went ballistic in court, threatening to kill every single one of them, which doesn't really lend credence to him not being violent.
Yeah, right. You're not helping your case here, boy.
No. So he was shipped to Sing Sing prison as John O'Leary. But he wouldn't be there long, and he quickly became a power man, as Pee Wee Gaskins would put it. One time he was raping an inmate, and the guard tried to stop him. He then tried to rape the guard, and it took 4 other guards to drag him off.
Well, damn.
So Carl was finally moved to New York's toughest prison, the Clinton prison. And it's also known as Dannemora. And I actually looked that up. This prison is still operating. Because I was curious, because it was described as like having the structure, like looking like a medieval castle and stuff like that. It's still there.
I don't know.
So it was 10 miles from the Canadian border. And when Carl got there, he was stripped naked, washed down with salt, and the guards took all of his stuff and they kept it. And then they beat him relentlessly, which of course didn't faze Carl one bit. And my notes keep popping back up. I hate that when that happens. Okay. They beat him relentlessly, which of course didn't faze Carl. But when he was processed there, he gave his real name of Carl Panzram instead of an alias. Now put a knife in that.
Oh, shit. Hold on. Where'd my knife go? There it is.
All the prisoners there were tortured, whether they did something wrong or not. It was run by pure sadists, and Carl would fit in very nicely.
Yeah, right.
A weekend, he tried to burn the place down with a makeshift bomb that he had made in the workshop. But the guards found it before it went off, and Carl was severely punished. But not very severely compared to Carl's experience, though.
Yeah, not severely enough for him.
Yeah. 2 weeks in, a guard was sleeping at his desk, and Carl snuck up behind him and clubbed him in the head with a piece of wood.
Okay.
The man survived, but he had a major concussion, and he had slurred speech afterwards and was never the same.
Yep.
Carl thought that he had killed that guy. But week 3, this is, like I said, 2 weeks in. Week 3, he formed an escape plan. He made a makeshift ladder 30 feet high, but the ladder broke under Carl's weight, and he fell, breaking both of his ankles for the second time in his life. But on top of that, getting older sucks, as Carl is finding out.
Yes. Yes, it does.
He also ruptured his groin.
Oh.
Yeah, so there's going to be no more raping for Carl for a while.
Nope, no more rapeling. His rapeling days are
put on hold.
Yeah, put on hold. We'll say put on hold.
This pain did break him.
You think?
There were things that were supposed to be inside of him that were outside of him.
Oh, I don't even want to think about that.
Yeah, me either. I mean,
no, I don't. No, stop.
So he's screaming in agony, and everybody, all the guards, they knew he was out there, but they just left him there. He ain't going nowhere. They just left him there overnight.
Yeah, well,
His guts hanging out of his body, I'm presuming from his asshole. But
anything's possible.
Yeah. Well, it's the only place it could have come out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
But the next morning, several guards came by, and Carl begged for help. And
I'd be just kill me right now.
Kill me. But Carl was begging. They carried him in. And Carl was begging for a doctor the entire time, and the guards just threw him in solitary and left him there.
Good for them.
So he was in solitary for 14 months, obviously his feet healed on their own as best they could. I mean, they didn't put him in shackles this time to help it.
Yeah.
But so he would walk bow-legged for the rest of his life. Yeah, and around that time, people from Salem, Oregon had come to collect Carl.
Oh.
But remember, there was no record of John O'Leary or Jeff Baldwin at the Clinton prison.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, in processing, he had given his real name.
Yes.
I don't think that was an accident.
Yeah.
I think that was done on purpose because he knew that the people in Salem would be coming for him.
Yeah. I'll buy that.
Yeah. So Carl was finally given medical treatment and his groin was repaired, but there was nothing they could do about his legs. And he, like I said, he'd be bow-legged for the rest of his life. And the guards insisted that one of his testicles be removed in addition to the repair surgery, thinking that it might reduce his
Might
aggression.
calm him down a little bit.
Yeah.
No, that'll just make it matter because everybody will call him one nut.
But Carl's aggression wasn't from testosterone. It was from his damaged brain.
Yeah. Or a combination thereof, but yeah.
Yeah. It did not.
It's not just that. I mean, yes, this when he was a child, he suffered horribly.
Yeah. And brain damage at the hands of his father. Accidental, but still.
Yeah. With the ice pick ear surgery or whatever it was.
Yeah. Butter knife.
Butter knife. Oh, even better.
Kitchen knife. Kitchen knife is what it was. So, could be a steak knife, could be a paring knife, whatever. You stuck a knife in it. So, once he recovered from the surgery, he wondered if he had actually lost some of his manhood, but he was still in the infirmary. And there was a sleeping prisoner there in the infirmary, and Carl tested out his equipment on the guy.
Oh boy!
Everything still worked.
Lucky him.
But the doctor came in and tried to stop Carl, but he couldn't. And the bunch of guards came in, and he was tossed back into solitary, where he finished the remainder of his sentence. In 1928, he was released, and the Panzram World Vengeance Tour could continue.
Does a band have that name, Panzram? Because that sounds like a death metal band name.
It does. It really does.
The name of your band? Panzram.
Panzram. Oh, Panzram. I like that. What's it about?
We're named after a serial killer.
We're named after a serial killer. One of the worst.
We're all called Carl.
So he finally decided that he'd had enough of New York, so he went to Philadelphia.
Well, because that's better.
Yeah. And it's not that far from New York City. About an hour,
really,
hour and a half.
Something like that.
2 hours tops with traffic. But
back then, yeah.
Yeah.
Nowadays.
Well, once you get beyond New York City, then it's
I know.
pretty deep, in my experience. But yeah, he had thought about doing terrorist acts before, and he decided it was finally time to do something. He wanted to collapse a tunnel where rich people walk to their jobs underneath the street, and he wanted to fill it with poison gas.
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Yeah. He also wanted to once again start a war with England, this time by attacking American ships in the Panama Canal.
Okay.
And there was strife going on down there at that point. But only problem was that he needed money. So he went to Kim Jong-il in North Korea, and Il helped him. He said, "Take your weapons of mass destruction and get the fuck out of here."
No, he didn't.
Wrong story.
Yeah. I was gonna say that's a little early for Kim Jong
A
Il.
little early for Kim Jong Il. I couldn't resist though.
Oh, I know. It was perfect.
But before starting World War II early, he wanted to have some fun.
As you do, as you're planning a war.
Yeah, he found a paper boy named Alexander who was the son of immigrants, and he didn't speak English very well. So Carl was able to lure him to a secluded spot. Alexander only knew a few words that Carl said to him, like "earn" and "cash."
Cash in.
That's just cashing. But
Anyway,
but that's just my guess. Money,
yeah.
you know. But Carl began stripping him, and
$2.
Alexander started to scream. Carl choked him, all through the rape to keep him quiet, and Alexander was dead when Carl had finished, and he just left him there. But Carl didn't stick around. He continued to Baltimore and wanted to kick off his first terrorist attack, but he needed supplies. So, he robbed and raped a man, and this guy put up a fight, but at the end, the man, which turned out to be a teenager, was dead, but Carl had gotten his money clipped.
Got his money clipped.
Yeah.
Is that what the kids are calling it these days?
He now has his financing for his dastardly plan.
Right. Oh, where is it? Nope, it's not that one. Never mind.
Okay. So he hopped a train into Washington, D.C.
Okay.
There in Washington, D.C., he got the tools for his evil master plan. But he couldn't help himself, and he started mobberies.
Mobberies.
Yeah, I threw that in there just for you.
Thank you. That was mobberies.
Multiple robberies.
Yes, mobberies.
In Bill speak.
I'm writing a book about. It'll be a Bill speak dictionary, so y'all can keep up.
I'm serious. You ought to do that. That'd be a good merchandise item. Autumn.
This would.
Autumn.
Yes, an autumn.
Yeah.
There's the evil laugh. I knew I had it.
So he was arrested because he got caught robbing a dentist's house.
On the way in or the way out?
On the way in.
Okay.
Or it might have been on the way out. It didn't say. I just pictured him like breaking, it's like doing,
like trying to break in.
Yeah, like a flying chicken wing into the window.
Oh Jesus! All right. Okay.
So he tried to fight the officers, but a few blows to his legs with the billy clubs ended that. He was put into jail to await trial, and he was no longer a power man. Pee Wee Gaskins did not approve.
Pee Wee Gaskins did not approve. Perfect.
But because of the billy clubs, he couldn't even walk without holding on to something. And this time, the guards cuffed into a pipe and made it so he was standing on his toes, and that broke him because he was screaming constantly. He started cursing the guards, the president, everyone, even his own parents for birthing him.
Wow.
He tried to tell the guards how he would escape and rape and murder their wives and children. Yeah, the guards just laughed at it at first, but the continuous threats and everything, that spooked him. That spooked the guards. It's just like, all right, this guy won't shut up. What if he is actually capable of doing this?
Yeah, right.
So they beat him unconscious.
Yeah, as you do when somebody threatens your family.
Yeah. But this whole thing, and it probably happened. It probably had something to do with because of the fact that he was in Washington D.C.
Well,
but this sparked a major investigation into Carl. I mean, they did their fucking due diligence and everything. They tracked down other aliases and were tracing him to him and everything. Salem detectives came down and they identified that this was in fact their escaped prisoner.
Wow. All right.
Carl, he had a cellmate, and he looked at the cellmate and he says, "The jig is up, the news is out, they finally found me. The renegade who had it made retreat for a bounty. Never more to go astray. This will be the end today of the wanted men."
That's exactly what he said.
Oh, come on. That was funny.
No, it was good.
You didn't laugh.
Well, you've done shit so much, it's kind of hard to laugh at stuff now. And I'm tired.
George McMahon's aunt even came and identified Carl as the man that had been seen with George when he disappeared. Another witness identified him as being seen with Alexander in Philly, but looking into Carl's eyes, he decided against testifying.
Right? Wouldn't you? I mean, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, what if he gets out? I'm dead.
Yep.
He's already escaped from a whole bunch of fucking prisons. I ain't saying shit.
Oh, yeah, and I'm sure the media is involved at this point. Like, look at this monster that we've gotten, because you know that they wanted the information out there in case somebody else had more information on this freaking serial killer.
Oh,
even though that's not what they called him back then, obviously. But still, I mean, it's just... So many more convictions would be coming, though. So Carl was fucking done at this point. So after much debate, it was decided that he would serve his sentence, whatever the sentence may be it life or death, back at his own stomping grounds in Leavenworth, in plain old Kansas.
In plain old Kansas, right on.
Yeah. It was no longer the brutal place that it was when Carl was there, and it wasn't like Carl was any shape to cause problems other than screaming at people. But this was just for convenience, smack dab in the center of the country in plain old Kansas, to make it easier for anybody who wanted to prosecute him to be able to get to him. Centrally located, location.
Exactly. Get a Carl Panzram. You get a Carl Panzram. And everybody gets a Carl Panzram.
Carl did try to be a power man at Leavenworth, but that was quickly squashed.
I would imagine.
He no longer had the energy to be the aggressor, but he could still defend himself if need be. So he stood up on the table in the mess hall and announced to everyone, "Y'all know who I am and what I've done. I will kill the first man who bothers me." Nobody bothered him.
I would imagine not.
So, but Carl, work ethic still intact. He wanted to do work, so the warden gave him a job in the laundry room where he would fold laundry day in and day out. The laundry foreman, Robert Warnke, W-A-R-N-K-E, Warnke, he was the only person who Carl talked to at all. He had it in for Carl, and he had him busted down to like third tier inmate and everything just because he, just had it in for Carl. And Carl didn't appreciate that. But, and Carl decided that he just didn't want to live anymore. He did laundry for a year, day in and day out. And one day, Warnke visited Carl's room that he had in there. It wasn't his like cell or anything, but it was kind of like a safe place for him or whatever, just a place where he could go. But Carl didn't want company in his private space, and Warnke was intruding. One last breath of rage and adrenaline flowed through Carl, and he tore a copper pipe from the wall, and he beat Warnke over the head with it and kept beating him until he was dead. And he dropped the bar, and he slumped down, and he was laughing maniacally, like like Jabba the Hutt. Drop that about. You know what? It fits. I mean, I know that's not how he, but at this point, he's a shell of the man that he used to be. Yeah. So yeah, that's perfect. That is fucking perfect. Bravo, Todd. That was great.
Yeah, well, Anyway,
so Carl was immediately taken to death row. I mean, he hadn't been tried yet, but they just put him there. It's just like, might as well get comfortable because this is where you're going.
Yep.
While in death row, awaiting a trial and execution, a guard named Henry Lesser befriended Carl. He bought him cigarettes. And he kept saying that he had reformed men like Carl, and he recognized Carl's intelligence. He kept at Carl, trying to get him to write his memoirs, and he brought him papers and pens. Finally, Carl agreed, and he wrote a 20,000 word confession to everything that included his life story. And that's where most of the information in the book that I use comes from.
Okay.
From what the confession that later became Carl's autobiography.
Okay, right on.
Many historians have tried to debunk the claims that Carl made, only to after deep dive, deep research and everything, realize that they were true.
Right.
In April of 1929, the Warnke trial began, and Carl pled not guilty, demanding that they had to prove that he killed Warnke if they wanted him to hang.
Okay, yeah.
But there were plenty of witnesses. People saw him do it.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, did he know that?
Probably. He was just trying to be a pain in the ass.
Oh, okay.
So he was found guilty. He wrote a letter to President Herbert Hoover demanding that there be no delay in his execution. He wanted to die sooner rather than later.
Yep. Do it right away. Don't make me wait.
Don't make me wait. I want it all, and I want it now. Lots of people wrote Carl on death row.
Okay.
So people talk about how the people's obsession with true crime nowadays. Now, it's been going on since day fucking one.
Yeah, prison tender's been around a long time. It just kind of changes form.
Yeah, this was just people, pen pals and stuff like that. And Carl ignored most of the letters that he got. But civil rights activists, today's social justice warriors, were writing him saying that they're going to try and get his death sentence overturned. He would reply back to them saying that if you get my death sentence overturned and I'm released, I would hunt every single one of you down and torture you to death slowly. That should have been the quote at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah.
Well, the one that I use fits because it's just like,
no, it does.
Because he's talking about regrets, even though there's only two of them.
Yeah.
So okay, so his memoirs began being transcribed into an agrobiology. Yeah,
An agrobiology.
An autobiography. And Henry Lesser was collaborating with the proofreaders, and the scientists began trying to get Carl spared so that they could study him. They wanted him alive so they could study him.
He's no good to me dead.
That's just like, I don't care what you did. You don't get the right to be alive.
You don't get to make that choice.
No, I mean, it just, I don't care. I mean, the only person that I would say that would be appropriate for would be Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
They study him while he's alive, and hopefully they wouldn't use anesthetic.
I hope not.
But still, it's like, no, you're not gonna sit there and cut into this man's brain and everything while he's still alive. This isn't a freaking this isn't Human Centipede or anything like that.
Yeah, there's no Nazis yet. We can't do that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but I mean, I've never seen any of those movies. I have no desire to see those movies.
Me neither.
I like horror movies, but I don't like that one. That one just seems stupid.
What the hell was that?
What?
I just heard like something came through my headphones. It wasn't me or you. Anyway, moving on.
I just flicked a bottle cap into my bucket.
No, it was a voice.
Did it sound like this?
No, it didn't.
Oh.
Anyway,
Okay,
moving on.
So it wasn't Panzram's ghost.
Unless his voice changed a lot in death.
Well, it did with the clip that you just played.
Oh, maybe it was then.
Did it
anyway.
Say, what are you doing? Will you hurry it up?
Yeah.
Put a knife in that.
Oh, God. Yeah, will you hurry it up, please?
So,
Todd's still getting sleepy.
But at this point, because Lesser was the one that was like kind of, just basically getting the story out there and all that stuff, and Carl turned on Lesser, promising them that he would end him as well if his death sentence was overturned. So Lesser's just like, all right, I'll wait.
All right, I'll wait.
Because look at it. I mean, he had the full confession. He heard about the crazy prison breaks that Carl had done. So,
right,
like, of course he's going to be like, he's on death row. He's pretty much locked up. But, I mean, even at his limited capacity now, it would not surprise me if he was able to bust out of here somehow.
Yeah, he had his own little tunnel.
Yeah.
He just come and go as he please.
September 5th, in 1930, the day arrived. Carl was taken to the gallows in Leavenworth, and Carl stood tall as tall as he physically could. And the noose was placed around his neck, and there was a moment of silence, and Carl broke up by saying, "Hurry it up, you Hoosier bastard. I could have hung 10 men in the time that it took you to tie that knot."
Right on.
He then spit in the executioner's face. His last words were a rant of curses and threats toward every living person on Earth. And he wasn't going to stop, so he just pulled the lever, and Carl dropped like in the middle of a sentence.
Nice. When the neck is broken, there's a sharp, quick pain, and then the spirit horse comes and takes you.
But
anyway,
attempts were made to contact Carl's family, but they wanted nothing to do with him. Lesser tried to get the book published, but nobody would touch it. And years later, it was finally released, although it's out of print now. Carl was literally a man who didn't give a shit about anybody or anything. He was a pure case of nurture, and he was somebody who would make today's movie monsters and slasher killers probably even some modern serial killers flinch.
Oh yeah.
He was a force to be reckoned with until literally the last microsecond of his life.
Yeah, no shit.
So that's it. We're over. This one wasn't as long as I thought that it would be. I mean, after edits, it'll be probably about the same length as part 2.
Yeah, all right, yeah. I mean, it was good. It didn't feel like it was as long as it didn't even feel like it was this long, even though I'm getting tired. But yeah, no, it was, yeah.
So we're still going to have over 5 hours of content on Panzram, even though, close to 6 hours, but not quite.
Yeah.
But still, longest episode we've done so far.
Indeed.
So,
the longest episode in our first 3-parter.
Yeah. Well, it's a 3-parter, so of course it better be our longest episode.
No, you know what I mean. This one is the longest episode of the longest episode of our first 3-part story that we've ever done.
Well, I don't know.
Records with this one.
After edits, we took some breaks.
Yeah, we did. Anyway,
so it'll probably be about the same as part 2. But so tell me, thoughts now that the story's over and everything. Thoughts about this guy, because it's like I wanted to, like, Panzram is one of those to where it's just there's so much to unpack, and he's been on my list since day one, but right. I wanted to wait until we knew what the fuck we were doing before I covered him.
That was a good idea.
I should have done the same with Pee Wee Gaskins.
Yeah.
Our Pee Wee Gaskins episode is still pretty good, but it's nothing compared to what we've been through, and you listeners have been through the past 3 weeks.
If we did this close to the beginning, it would have broken me much, much earlier than.
Oh, it didn't even break you at all on this one. I'm just talking.
But it would have.
I'm just talking about the fact that just like with the deep dive and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
So.
I mean, I totally agree with you. It was how he was raised that made him what he was, than nothing else.
Yeah.
Well, okay, except for maybe the amateur emergency ear surgery by his sperm donor. I guess we can't even call it. I mean, anybody that does that is not a father. I'm sorry.
Right. I know. That's fucking crazy.
But anyway, and some people just get dealt a bad hand, and I mean, like I said, and you said it a bunch. Like we were feeling sorry for him in the first couple episodes. I mean, I even said it. I'm Team Carl. Go #Carl.
Yeah, but
it still doesn't. That doesn't change the fact that, I mean, yes, this kid as a child he was horrifically abused,
and even as a young adult. As a young adult, I mean, he was still fucking up and committing crimes and everything, but he didn't really get serious until like at the end of part 2 of this.
Yeah, I know, but
when he really started turning. It's like a lot. Hell, one time he was, in part 2 with the freaking the snorting pole and everything.
The snorting pole.
He had been released, but they kept him there just because he was a brute.
Yeah.
And he had a great work ethic.
And they let him break back in. or no, that was another prison. Whatever.
That was part 1.
But anyway, but I mean, that shit affected him and made him into the monster that he was. Definitely. It had nothing to do with, he wasn't born with, with bad wiring in his brain, dude. He probably would have been a normal, brilliant person that could have done a lot of good.
Yeah, if he had a good childhood, a good upbringing, yeah, absolutely.
But because he was so smart and the upbringing that he suffered, and I'm going to say suffered.
Because it was hell. Isn't that?
I mean, it turned him into one of the scariest people I have ever heard of in my life.
Yeah.
Because he was very intelligent, and he was just hell bent on taking it out on everyone, and he didn't care. Like you said, he didn't give a shit.
Yeah, I mean, he just like, yeah, I mean,
whatever conscience he had was beaten out of him a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And
but still, I mean,
it doesn't justify what he did. But
no, not at all.
I mean, it happens, and like all these stories, like you feel sorry for them when you hear about their childhood. But once they grow up, they could have made. I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to be a psychologist. I'm not trying to pretend how anybody thinks or what they go through.
Right, but lots of people have shitty childhoods and grow up to be. I mean, granted, not very many people have had as shitty of a childhood as Panzram did.
That's true.
But like I said, he had no chance.
No, never did.
I mean, there was only one outcome for him, and that was it. And as far as exits are concerned for these cases that we've covered,
that was the best one yet.
I don't know, Boone Helm. He jumped off.
It's top 3.
He jumped. Boone Helm jumped off of the gallows, and on the snap back, came back and hit the guy that was next to him and took him out. He was dead and took somebody out. That's gotta be number 1.
That's number 1, but
Carl Panzram is number 2.
Yeah, he's top 3 for sure.
I think he's top 2 because I don't think that we've covered any other freaking,
Well, there still could be one coming. There still could be one coming. So he's
sure
top 3. I mean, he is number 2, but he could be replaced at number 2.
He could be.
That's what I'm trying to say.
I
doubt it.
Any.
I doubt it.
I don't know of
it
any.
Could happen.
But there's no topping what Boone Helm did.
That's true. I forgot that he did that.
He was dead and he still took somebody out.
Yeah, he was dead and he still killed somebody. And yeah, you're right. Boone Helm is number 1. I forgot all about that.
But
anyway,
yeah. Thanks a hell of a lot for listening and sticking with us. I mean, we're probably going to be going more toward this format moving forward with the longer episodes and everything. And it's more. What do you think, Todd? Is it more interesting this way? Like hearing everything rather than just a Yeah, I mean, we still did deep dives on our long 1-part episodes, but they
Yeah,
weren't anything
I mean,
compared
no,
to this.
I mean, if there's enough material, yeah, I have no problem doing
Yeah,
2-parters or
but I
whatever.
mean,
But
Slave Master. That episode was over 2 hours long, and I think we covered pretty much the gist of everything in that one. You know, I mean, I've listened to podcast episodes about Slave Master, like from other podcasts and everything, where they did like a hour-long episode or something like that, and they don't cover half the shit that we did.
right.
So,
No,
but
I'm all for it.
so it's just like that's where we're going to be moving forward to. So you're going to see a lot more 2-part episodes from us, and there'll be 3s and maybe a 4. I don't want to do 5. Sorry,
Yeah. Well, let's
sorry,
try to keep it to, if we're going to go that far, 1 story a month.
sorry, Mark from Illinois Steering. We're not doing a 5 or a 6-part unless it's Jonestown.
Yeah, that one could probably be. Dude, you could probably get 2 months out of Jonestown.
Mm-hmm.
If you really wanted to.
Yeah, but Jonestown will probably be a 4-part episode, definitely. But
I don't.
But anyway, like I said, thanks a hell of a lot for listening. Let us know what you thought about this series. Seriously, it's just like this is kind of where we wanted to go. I didn't really feel like I was equipped for it early on to do it this way.
I sure as hell wasn't.
but we're there now, and I like this series. I think it was good, and I think we did it at the appropriate time, and we're growing as a podcast, and we're happy to have you guys along with us. Absolutely.
We're still infants with attitudes, though.
No, we're toddlers with attitudes. No, we've leveled up.
All right. I mean, in my brain, I'm still an infant with attitude. But
infants with attitudes sounds better rolling off of the tongue.
And what was the other thing? What was the other thing you had?
We're gritty and obnoxious.
Gritty and obnoxious, yes. Yeah. That's it. We're gritty and obnoxious infants with attitudes.
Yeah. So
I love it.
So, but seriously, thank you for listening. We appreciate the hell out of it. Hook us up. 5-star ratings. Go on Apple. Leave us a 5-star rating and a 5-star review there. We appreciate it. I mean,
somebody please sign up for our damn Patreon. Jesus.
Yeah. First person to sign up for Patreon gets a t-shirt free.
Our Patreon is lonely.
Yeah. And we're not going to start making new episodes. We have, I think, 12 episodes for Patreon now. And
we thought it was going to be bigger than it is.
Yeah, we're not going to make any more until we start getting subscribers.
Yes.
So
click like and subscribe and all that shit. Whatever you're on, wherever you're seeing this, like and subscribe, do whatever. And
all our links to our socials and everything. We even have a Discord page, which nobody's bothered to join either. So,
well, I'm never on it.
Well, get on it.
No, dude, Discord pisses me off. Because that's what it is, dude. It's fucking Discord that fucking makes our mics not fucking connect to wave.
Well, then get on Discord on your phone and interact there.
Dude, I'm not fucking up my phone with Discord. Are you fucking crazy?
It doesn't fuck my phone up.
Says the guy whose phone didn't charge today. Until way at the end of the day.
So, anyway, thanks for listening. Yeah, seriously, we appreciate it. And hook us up with, we're going to keep doing this. I don't know who's next. So
you can't stop us now.
I got to get on it and, figure out who we're going to cover next. But, anyway, until next week, later.
Cheers, everybody.